Yahweh's path, the ancient path, is narrow that leads to life. And just because things are popular and accepted by the masses does not equate to the approval of Yahweh. And in wide-way Christianity, we see such things as entertainment-driven worship, where they're prioritizing high-production music, emotional atmospheres, and performance-style experiences that mirror secular entertainment rather than reverent, scripture-saturated worship that is grounded in Yahweh's prescribed methods of holiness and set-apartness. Yahweh, in his rebuke to Israel for attempting to offer polluted worship because they were practicing idolatry, said this in Amos 5:21. He says, I despise your feast. Friends, this is strong language coming from Yahweh. I can't stand the stench of your solemn assemblies. Even if you offer me your burnt offerings and grain offerings, I will not accept them. I will have no regard for your fellowship offerings of fattened cattle. Take away from me the noise of your songs. I will not listen to the music of your harps, but let justice flow like water and righteousness like an unfailing stream. And notice, they were continuing their worship practices of Yahweh, which were legitimate practices and methods of worship and sacrifices and offerings and music and the like. But they weren't acceptable to Yahweh because they weren't following his instructions. They had abandoned justice and righteousness, which were practiced by following his teachings and his instructions and walking in his ancient path, his ancient ways. And again, in wide-way Christianity, we see man-made holidays over appointed times, the masses pouring energy into cultural celebrations with such things like Christmas and Easter while neglecting Yahweh's biblical appointed feasts that Yeshua and the apostles faithfully observed. And they're often just shrugged off as being, quote, for the Jews, yet Yahweh's word says otherwise. Look at Leviticus 23:1. Yahweh spoke to Moses, speak to the Israelites and tell them, notice this, these are my appointed times, the times of Yahweh that you will proclaim as sacred assemblies. Yahweh's feast here, friends, is just that. They are his. They're not just for the Jews alone or the nation of Israel. They are for all of Yahweh's set-apart people. And many of our modern-day churches, they are built around consumer-focused church growth models. They build ministries around marketing and seeker-sensitive methods, numbers, and pragmatic strategies that work culturally, often at the expense of true scriptural patterns for teaching, discipleship, and living a set-apart life unto Yahweh. The modern church follows doctrinal innovations that marginalize the Torah, and they use a teaching framework that dismisses large portions of Yahweh's Torah instructions, such as the Sabbath, feasts, dietary laws, and the like, as obsolete. They're old covenant, they will say, diminishing the enduring authority of Yahweh's ancient paths in favor of a divided view of Scripture.